mercy, what a stop!
My goodness, what a save!
What a save! What a glove save there, but what a stop! Looked like a sure goal. You talk about an A+ save and maybe the save of the night.
Welcome to the Goalie Science Podcast, where we break down the science of goaltending, coaching, and everything in between. I'm Dr. Jamie Phillips, former professional goalie, board-certified physical therapist, and goalie performance specialist, alongside my co-host, Derek Boujan, owner of Boujan Goaltending and On Ice Hockey Performance Center. Whether you're on your way to a game, gearing up for practice, or just tuning in, grab your favorite drink and let's drop the puck on this week's episode. Welcome to another episode of Goalie Science, episode 113. Bouj, good to see you again. I was hoping that TV, it is the TV in your backdrop for those watching on YouTube, is the classic logo that bounces around, and eventually it's going to hit the corner. And everyone's everyone's going to be dialed in waiting for it. There's going to be a big cheer. So if you're watching on YouTube and it does hit the corner, let us know in the comments. What's spring hockey is upon us, and I know I have my beliefs about spring hockey. Everyone has beliefs about spring hockey, but where are you with everything with the spring organizations?
So my spring team played their first exhibition game last night. We big 5-2 win. It was definitely it was nice. We had 2 practices so far, so we just worked on 2 simple things: defensive zone faceoffs, and then defensive zone coverage. And it was fun because, you know what, actually, like, I got a good mix. There's a couple of AAA guys, there's a couple of AA guys, and then we have some single A guys. Majority of our team, I'd say, is single A players. And we're going against some guys that played AAA and like full AAA teams and full AA teams. And last night we played a full AA team and we waxed them pretty good.
Hey, not a big deal.
Hey, coaching works. What can I say?
How many games is the spring season for you guys?
Well, my teams are only playing 2 tournaments, so 10, maybe 11. Like, each tournament's guaranteed 5 games. So 5 games in a week is pretty good.
I think that's pretty
But that's just me. Like, there's a couple teams that are playing, and like, actually, I want to get into kind of like the Brick, because the Brick is upon us and the Brick are making announcements. But there'll be teams that play like 7 or 8 tournaments. So what, you're like 35, 40 games in our spring season. And
oh my God.
Yeah, that's too much.
When we'll tee this up. We were thought about talking about this episode, but we're gonna push back and wait for another one. We're talking about early sports specialization, and something Ben and I had talked about before. But there's a really good video, and we'll tag it when we do this pod next week, talking about a lot of the research will show that sports specialization, especially specifically for injuries, which is one of the things that I do, know that that's not good. However, when it looks at skill acquisition and producing top talent, there's a possibility that maybe we missed the mark on a lot of things. So that's a little teaser there. But so I never played in the Brick. I know the Brick is a tournament in Edmonton, and I know it is run by the Brick, which is the Comries, which is my old goalie partner. Shout out Eric Comrie. What's on your mind about the Brick tournament?
Oh, just like the craziness of the Brick, like the craziness of trying to get on the Brick and the amount of money it costs you just to get identified to be on a Brick team. So like just a little bit of insight. So last year was my first foray into spring hockey, and very inexperienced in spring hockey because I never did it before. And I had a 2015 team made up of all MD kids who played half ice hockey that didn't play outlaw. And we went in being inexperienced. I put us in the Toronto Pro Development Tournament, which was a wagon of a tournament. And so Toronto, like Pro Hockey Development, had 3 teams in that tournament. And the way it was like they had 3 spring teams, and they were trying to like kind of narrow and tunnel it down to see like who was going to be their Brick team. Well, we ran into 2 of those teams, and they buzzsawed us, and we lost 12-0 and 10-0. I think we didn't get out of our end in one of the games. But for like a kid to get on that Brick tournament, like, you have to play with them probably 7 or 8 tournaments the year before. They went to Vegas, they went to Philly. They do all those big World Select tournaments, and then it gets narrowed down, and then they started announcing players. And like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, these are top end talent. Like, that's a high end talent. but you're probably about $35,000-$40,000 in just to get on that team, and you haven't got there yet. So I work with a goalie who is from the US, and so he tried out in Boston, Connecticut, Toronto, and Chicago. Like he was skating with all four of those teams, trying to get onto a brick team. And like it's a 9-year-old tournament, and yeah, like I'm gonna watch every game. I watched every game last year. It's very good hockey, but like it's not essential. But just the mindset of the parent that I have to get my kid to this tournament is like you're mortgaging your house to get there. The one of the teams that I know is the second they offer you a brick commitment, you have 6 hours to give them the $7,000 deposit. Like on the spot, boom. You got to pay for bringing you the brick. You owe us $7,000 right now to secure your spot. Like that is wild. That's wild.
Right before I say my point, also realized that I texted your old number, and whoever it is just texted me back saying wrong number.
Oh, okay. Like you got to send this guy the link because that guy gets 200 text messages and phone calls a week from me. This guy hates me. Like I should just call him and be like, "Hey man, this is Derek. Like how badly do you want to just tell me to like go hit the road or whatever?" Because like this poor guy, it's funny, my aunt one day had me in a group message, like a group text message about like a birthday like for my son, and it was me, my new number, my old number, her, and then my grandmother. And I responded like, that's my old number. Please remove that number from this group. And he responded like, yes, please remove me. And I just like it's been 2 years of this guy getting all these phone calls and same thing, exactly what you just said. I get at least 3 or 4 of those a week.
That poor person. And so it's actually when you texted me there, I put two and two together. Well, it's one of the good things. Well, whether it's good or bad is, so for me, I have my work number and I have my personal number, but one's a digital SIM and one's like a hard and fast SIM. So I have two numbers on my phone, and so they both come to my personal phone. So I have to tag everything and make sure it's all good. But going back to the break, okay, like typical goalie science getting off the rails. With the brick, how many teams go to this tournament, and is it set like every year you have like the same teams, or is it like the Toronto Marlies are going, the Greybears Highlanders or whatever they're called now, like they have teams, or are there set teams every year that are the same ones and they select kids?
Yeah, so you own a team. So there's if I believe right, I on the spot, I think there's 14 teams. So there's 7 in Canada, 7 in the US, if I'm right. Like Chicago, Boston, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, there's West Coast selects, Teams Pacific, and then there's Alberta, BC, Team Manitoba, Quebec, Ontario has 2 teams. So like it crosses all of North America. So like these associations or organizations or own the right to have a team in the brick. So they're always the same. There's no qualification. It's just you make your team, and then the tournament is in August every year at West Edmonton Mall. And it is an event. Like it really is. And it would be a tough choice. Like my kid's nowhere at that level. Like that's not kidding myself. But if my kid was at that level, to have that experience where you're at West Edmonton Mall for 7 days playing a tournament in the mall, which is with the best kids in North America, like it would be pretty tough to not do it if the funds were available. But I mean, like that's a lot of cake. That's a lot of cake. And
Right.
I'm lucky that I don't have to make that choice because my kid's just not at that level. So I get to watch it on TV like a normal person. But is it normal if I'm sitting on the couch in the middle of August watch 0-year-olds play? No, yeah, I'm online.
No. It's like one of those. I was looking at something. I was watching a video, and we've talked about it before, and we're on a podcast network, and one of the presenting sponsors is like a gambling site, and I said that you know for personal ethical reasons, we're not gonna do we're not gonna do ad reads for gambling things, but they were looking at some of the things that you could gamble on, and it's like the most obscure middle of like Polish fourth league table tennis. and people are putting like $30,000-$50,000 bets. That's what I imagine the brick tournament turns out. Like I feel like whatever the DraftKings numbers are going to be, they're going to be scouting it. Is the Toronto team the Toronto Bulldogs? Is that the one that goes?
Yeah, so there's two, the Toronto Bulldogs, and then there's Pro Hockey Development, which is based out of Toronto too. So both teams are based out of Toronto.
Oh, okay. I know the head coach of Toronto, Massimo. We used to train together at in Brampton. He's a good guy. So actually that makes sense because I see him his Instagram and every year. I don't know if they win or whatever, but he posts pictures. Okay, that makes sense. I'll put in a good word for Weston. But I also want
he ain't making it.
I want 20% of whatever it costs you to get him on that team. I want 20%. I'll take a quick 15K.
The level that my kid's playing, it would cost me $250,000 to get him on that team because my kid's not there.
All right, I'll take 15% of that deal. Yeah, I didn't really know much about the break. I didn't know how that works. Pretty crazy that it's that intense for 9-year-olds. Now, for the parents listening, obviously it isn't the end all be all. However, that's probably going to go in one ear and right out the other. So what are the upsides and what are the downsides are there any upsides and are there any downsides to this in terms of other than the financial commitment? Let's just say
Are we talking about the brick or are we talking about spring hockey? Like which the upside and downside to what?
The brick.
Well, the upside is it's a pretty cool life experience. Like at the end of the day, like all of our hockey is an experience.
This thing is rotting your brain. Now, the average American spends about 4 hours and 37 minutes on their phone a day. And yes, I did Google that to find the exact answer. The average hockey player probably spends around double that because I spend all day at the rink. I see you kids these days on your phone. What would you do if you had access to NHL level goalie coaching at every second? Well, we have access to our phones at every single second of the day because we're never not with it. Trust me, this thing's glued to my body. Well, I created the EGM Labs app. That is essentially my second brain. This is every sort of piece of content that I have ever done. There's over 2,000 hours of video, training, breakdown, edge works. I'm constantly adding to it. Every single day I add a new drill, lesson, something to make you a better goalie. Now, the initial feedback has been unbelievable. The app is available only on iOS and desktop right now. Android is coming soon. So if you're curious about it, go in the iOS App Store, search Elite Goalie Method Labs. You get a free preview. It gives you a little bit of a taste of every sort of section we have in there. So after you download the free trial, if it's something you're interested in, and I promise this is going to make you a better goalie. And after you try the free preview, if this is something that you want, you can go click the link down below or in the show notes and sign up for the full app. Or if it's something you're like, you know what, Jamie, not for me. I'm okay. I respect that. You can delete the app. It's free. No login, anything required until you sign up for the full thousands and thousands of hours of content. All right, back to the episode.
All of us. Like you were the closest of anybody that I talk to regularly to making the NHL. And you have a job now. You have to go to work. You wake up at 8 a.m. to treat patients, and then you have to try to coordinate podcast time with me. You have to go to work, and you got there. So for almost 99.9% of people listening to this is the journey is about experience and then being able to like look back on that journey and talk about it and have the stories and like be able to reiterate that and use that in your day to day as an experience that made you grow. Can you put a price tag on it? I guess you can. It's about $75,000 to pay and put the price tag on it. But is there upside to it? Yeah, it's pretty cool. But is it the be all? Like every kid who played in the brick played in the NHL. Like if that was the stepping stone, then you know what. But what we have to remember here is the best non-professional hockey tournament in the world is the World Junior Championships. And it's still at that level, less than 50% of those kids play in the NHL. So always have that in the back of your mind. Like this, if you can do these things, financially afford them, and understand that it's just for experience and it's not going to get you to the NHL, then by all means, it's always a good idea. But it is like I could imagine how many people are mortgaging their house and putting themselves into massive debt just for this brick. And if that's what you want to do for your child, just for the experience, then do it. But if you're doing that with the long term, like, oh, he's going to get to the NHL, then like let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Okay, I like that. That usually when people ask me about spring hockey and spring hockey tournaments, it's like, do you need to do it? No. Or I guess that's technically the Bricks of Summer Hockey Tournament. Do you need to do it? No, but is it a good experience? Like I know a couple of my athletes have gone to Sweden, Finland, one's going to Czech this year. And it's just, I think it's, like I said, if it's in the budget and it makes sense, go for the experience, but you're not going because, shoot, I don't know, Chris Tanev went 12 years ago and is in the NHL. They talk about how many NHL players are going on from this 11-year-old, 9-year-old tournament. So I think that's a really good perspective. Talking about perspective, with one of the things that I've been working with is I'm trying to help a lot of my goalies with their body language. And I find that this is kind of a tricky one for me because I am, you and I we wear many hats in the goalie department as goalie coaches. We are mostly helping with their technique, but a lot of that overlaps into the mental coaching, all that stuff. Where I just want you, I would like you to talk kind of about your broad sweeping approach to a goalie who comes in, just say highly skilled, but body language is an issue, and not really. Well, it could be anger, or it could be mopey, it could be slouching after goals. And like, how do you address that? Can we really make a difference on that, or kind of where I'm struggling? Because either I'm doing things to address things, but I ultimately, the goalie has to steer the ship. They're the one in control of themselves. I can only point out like, hey, here, look, watch this video. Like, what do you think the message is that goes out when you give up a goal? So what's your broad sweeping approach to dealing with goalies with poor body language?
Well, first off, I want to say that like when goalies hear this and athletes hear this, they really minimize what we're trying to say here. They don't buy into the fact that this is important. And I will say that every single coach I've ever been a part of the staff with has brought up to me body language. And that's for goalies and players alike. Like body language is something that coaches honest to God look at, and it really is a factor in whether or not they have confidence in them. And when we try to bring it up to an athlete, athletes are like the younger they are, the little less mature they are. They don't really get it until they become coaches. And then it's like a aha moment for them because now they see it from the other side.
Mhm.
And same thing when I'm scouting. Like if I'm not watching goalies and I'm trying to scout goalies, like body language is huge.
It's the
Now,
easiest one. It's the most obvious thing.
and it's something like you want to talk about like when people can't communicate through text because they don't get context, right? Like
Mhm.
you might be trying to say one thing in a text message, but somebody reads it the other way. Your body language is the exact same thing. So you might have body language because you think you made a mistake and you're kind of upset with yourself, but now your defenseman or your coach thinks that the body language is directed to them. So there's no context in how that body language is viewed. And that's where it gets really, really tricky. Um, and it's like I find it more that like we can control some of the body language of our goalies in games. But to me, where body language really bothers me is in practice and in training. Like that's where I really get on top of my goalies, is because in games they understand. Okay, you give a goal, something that goes wrong, they have that like post goal reset a routine. Where in training, you don't have that. In training, it's
Mm.
one boom, 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 boom in practice. And that is where the fetus body language comes in, and that's where I really kind of jump on my guys.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been doing too. And I mean, probably I know it's the buy-in. And I think a lot of it is you don't know what you don't know, and you also don't know what it looks like. So I've been cutting clips of my goalies that come out bad body language, and just like, this is what you look like. Like, what do you think? And they go, "Oh, yeah, that doesn't look good." And now they kind of have some idea with it. Practice, especially goalie training. Goalie training, it drives me bonkers because there is no scoreboard. And I I sometimes I get getting mad. Like I got mad all the time. Everybody got mad. We all learned. But the goalie training part for me is like this one should be really fun, and it should be challenging, and like getting upset, getting disappointed because you're giving up goals, or whatever. It's that one's hard for me to kind of relate to because it's just as the former goalie and now as the coach, like, well, actually former goalie, there's nothing I love more than goalie training. If I could have got paid to play to do goalie training, I definitely wouldn't be a PT right now. I'd be somewhere in the Cayman Islands. But the coach, it's like you have to understand that we are trying to challenge you to get you to be better. You know, I can come into a goalie session and shoot pucks at your chest and tell the shooters like, hey, I want you to put his feet around his chest to build your confidence. That's not going to get you better. My job is to work at your weaknesses. And it becomes counterproductive when you're getting down on yourself, getting frustrated again and again and again. Like if it's a one-off practice, yeah, it happens. But when it's every single time, that's where it gets frustrating. The way that I explain it to you after I showed them the video is like, we're going back to scouting and how most scouts are not goalie people. They're looking for the lowest hanging fruit. They're looking for the very obvious things, the battle for whatever that means, the body language, you know, your puck playing. Did you go back and did you hit the defenseman on the stick, or did you throw it 4 feet in the air at the defenseman's hips and they turn it over? And those like 3 main things are the easiest low-hanging fruit for a scout. And I see it again and again. And I see it because all we do is watch minor hockey. 9-year-olds play in $70,000 tournaments in the summer. You can see which kids are struggle. So when you have a kid who's struggling or has poor body language, what's your first step in order to addressing that?
Well, you got to identify it and you got to explain to them kind of exactly what we just said, right? That's the one thing. But it's like anything, we can't control it. It's not up to us to control it. It's up to us as coaches to identify it and then communicate to them how this can have a negative impact on maybe not their performance, but definitely like their perception or their what people around them are seeing, their character as a teammate, what scouts are seeing, the confidence that coaches have in them. Like that's the thing. Like I go back to like angle. Like we can't teach a kid to be on angle. We can teach him everything that we possibly know about what angle is and how to try to find his angle. But at the end of the day, he has to know if he's on angle. And that's the same thing I think with body language is we can identify it. You can show him on video, but you can't make him change it unless he kind of buys in and figures it out. And I have, like right now, we're going to trial season in Ontario. We're about 3 weeks out. And I had a conversation with a coach on Saturday, called me, and exact thing was, I need a goalie because the goalie on my team is lazy. He doesn't work hard in practice and his body language is just terrible. Those were the 3 things that this coach said to me why he wants to make a change with his goaltending. Now, one time in that conversation, did he say performance? Not once. Lazy in practice and bad body language. Those are the reasons that he wants to change his goalies. Performance was fine, but he was just a guy who was just a guy. A good goalie at that level, not exceptional, not near the bottom of the league, but he's lazy at practice and his body language drives me crazy. And the coach is looking to make a change. So that is not a single off. That's not an isolated conversation. I have those conversations quite a bit. And when I'm on the bench and I'm running, whether I'm on a forward door or D door, and I'm working with another head coach, I will get yelled at for the goaltender's body language. It happens all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That from the coaches and then from the parents, you get it. They're like, fix his body language.
The arms in the air.
Trying.
Can't see a puck.
I'm trying.
Well, that, yeah.
What do you want me to do? And it's, I always say, when I explain, I like explaining it to the goalies this way. I'm like, how smart are the forwards in D? And they go, I don't know. And I go, do they turn the puck over in the slot all the time and make bad passes? And they go, yeah. I'm like, so are they smart? And they go, no. And then I go, okay. So what do they think they feed off of? And like, where are they getting their energy and their hype from? They're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, from you. Like, you're the backbone of this. If you give up a goal, whether it's a 3-0 backdoor tip or a stinker from the blue line, but the way you react is going to dictate the next 5-10 minutes of the game or longer. Like if you give up a goal no matter the quality, you shake it off and you just do whatever, do your water bottle spray or you just skate to the corner and then it's like you're back in, you're engaged, you're confident, your chest is up. Like the guys or girls on your team are gonna go, oh, so and so goal is ready, we're dialed, we're fine. We'll get this one back. As soon as you slouch, all of a sudden you see it immediately from the players. They go, and sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, what we usually do is we say the quiet thing nobody wants to say. Your body language doesn't matter if you're the best goalie in the league. Like, honestly, like a perfect example, I don't know if we're aging ourselves when I say this, is like Patrick Waugh. Patrick Waugh had terrible body language in the net, but he's one of the winningest goalies of all time. So everybody just labeled his body language as intensity, right? Like that.
His body language was more like anger. Where I'm finding more and more is
What was me?
Yeah. Yes, so much mopiness.
But the mopiness, is that coming from the elite goalie in the league, or is it just a guy in the league?
I am seeing it across the board.
So the best goalies in the league. So let's say I don't even know your Muskegon goalies, guys, Peck or something. Like this guy is leading the league in every stat, right? Or maybe I don't know. We talk about it all the time. But he had 2 good goalies. This is a name I remember. I have absolutely no idea. Like, I'm just saying a name I remember. If his body language was mopey and he was the best goalie in the league, leading every stat and had 17 offers on the table, that body language wouldn't be labeled as mopey.
Yes, it would. And the thing is too, is well,
by you, maybe
given our coaching staff and the GM staff, he probably wouldn't have been given opportunities to become the best goalie in the league with that mopey body language. But what I was gonna say is, usually what I'm seeing is you'll have very good goalies. This is across the board, but let's just talk about the high level ones, because that's kind of you said that they sometimes are the exception to the rule, where you're getting high level goalies that are good until they give up a goal, and then it gets mopey, and then they become that goalie. It's like, as soon as we score 1, you're scoring 6. And that is where
good then.
But it's not technical. It's not that ability. It's when they give up that goal. It's that mental collapse on it. And you're right. And I'm saying that's not a technical thing. It's not a skill thing.
That is but a package. James.
Yes,
that's part of the package. So I call it giving up goals in bunches. Like I label it that. And then
honey bunches of oats, man.
Yeah. So like if you're a goalie that gives up goals in bunches, where you're starting really well and you're playing unbelievable until they score. Number one, it's your pregame mindset that's the issue, because you are putting pressure on yourself to be perfect. And the second things start going wrong, you fall off the cliff. So you change your pregame mindset for sure. But that is part of the total package. Is like, you're not a top elite goalie if you're the best goalie in the world until they score and then you fall apart, because that's all part of it. Whether it's technique or not, it doesn't matter. It's if that is what we're describing of you as a goalie who's listening to this now, then that is a weakness in your game. That isn't something that we can fix on the ice.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think of it that way. So that's that makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess I wasn't seeing the forest from the trees with a lot of the kids, because I see like potential. I want them to do the best. I should have flipped it the other way when I do like pre-scout on guys and we score goals and honey bunches of oats. Then I'm like, yeah, mentally weak, doesn't have it. Damn it. Now see, now I see the error of my ways. But you're right. It's good. That's why I want to have this conversation. Good, because we're on the same page. I know that there's never like a secret, despite what people on YouTube will say. There's no secret pro hack to fixing your mindset. The kids have to be the athlete has to be the driver. And this goes back to a conversation I had with a parent the other day, where their child was going through some like adversity things. And I was trying to explain to them that throughout your career, and actually I made a video on this to promote on YouTube or whatever the newsletter I have sometime this week when you're listening. But it's the quote that I liked is, beyond mountains, there's always more mountains. And so you're always going to have some sort of uphill battle. You're going to have some adversity, whether that adversity is like huge or it's small, or you get it later or earlier in your career. You're always going to have it. And then there's always going to be more. But we get hyperfixated on the now and the present. and rather than just understanding that this is a part of the journey. And so the way I explain to the parent is you look at these high level athletes, the one that go to college to pro, basically a collection of very good skill set. And everyone has faced adversity and a whole bunch of sink or swim moments. And all you're getting is just the athletes who have continued to swim. And the ones that sink and die off and go do other things or go play other sports or give up. The ones that swim get to the next mountain, and then there's a smaller group. And then the next group that swim, keep going. And the only time there's no more mountains in your sport is when you stop playing your sport. I think that's an important thing to reiterate. So going through this, like the mental mindset and the body language this is an important part of it. And if you can't get around this, like Derek just said, where if you're not, this is a huge part of the package. And everyone's looking for goalies out of the complete package. So regardless of skill, you don't have that massive piece of the pie, you're going to have to learn, you're going to sink, and you're going to have to learn to get around it. And you're going to have to be the one to make those conscious decisions of how you react to pucks going in or whatever it is. If you want to swim and then get past this mountain, and then you're going to get a new mountain, and then a new mountain, and a new mountain. When it comes to anything else that you think that we missed in terms of body language?
Yeah, I want to interrupt you there. So if we stay on the body language topic here, when do we see body language start to become a factor? At around what age?
Probably like 14, 15 usually.
Yes, okay. 14, 15, 16.
Puberty. Yeah, like the puberty ages for boys. We're talking here, obviously, for boys.
Yeah, girls will tell us to go shoot ourselves when we're 9. Like, they're vicious, and I love it. But boys, body language comes in, around 14, 15. So before that, before you get to 14 and 15, you just talked about adversity, right? A lot of these goalies that are playing at these high levels when they're 14 and 15 have had success always. That's why they're there. They're there because they've been the recruited goalie. They've been the number one goalie. They've been the goalie that has been told by coaches, you're my number one guy. You're going to play 70% of the games. And those are the guys that struggle when things get tough. They struggle with how to identify or how to navigate and cope with when things aren't going their way. And this is why I say to everybody, and I said this on this podcast a lot of times, is that you want your kids facing adversity young. You do not want it to be easy when you're young. You don't want it to be on the team that wins every single game when you're 9 and 10 and 11 years old, because they don't learn how to change things when things aren't going perfect. And when they learn to handle that adversity when they're 10 and 11, then when they're 15, 16, 17, they know how to cope with those things. And that is a big part of like the development. And now when I say development, we're not just talking about skill development. This is like character development. And that's part of the package that people forget about. And everybody wants to talk about the stuff that they're going to do on the ice. Yeah, it's a big part of it. That's part of the package. But the character, the mental side, the maturity side, the being able to face adversity, problem solving, that's all part of the package that the guys you watch on TV all have. Those guys are the total package, even the fourth line guys. And it's because it wasn't always easy for them. It was hard. And that's why, like, the story of Arbor Jack guy is like really big in this area at Hamilton, where I'm from, is because he's a kid who didn't get drafted to the OHL, played a year junior B, signed as a free agent, didn't get drafted to the NHL, went as a free agent to camp, signed a 3-year deal, and is now a full-time NHLer. You think things were easy for him all the time? No, he just kept going.
There's 2 things that I want to say, so I'm going to say them both, and so I don't forget. First one is when going to goalie specifically, goalie podcast, I think there's a lot of value in having a competitive goalie partner with you from a young age too. I know a lot of parents will be like, nope, I want my kid to be the only goalie play every single game. Yeah, well, I've seen it many times. It's important that you have someone that's going to push you at a young age, because eventually you're going to get to a level where there's going to be a lot of good kids, and one of them is going to be on your team with you. And if you're a good kid and he's a good kid, then and he's had adversity, he's learned to be a backup. He's learned that he didn't get the semifinal or quarterfinal games. He's going to push you. If you've never had that, you're going to have to go through the things that goalie's gone through at a younger time. So there's a ton of value in that. And I totally forgot what my second one was. Of course I did. Yeah. You were talking about Jack. I forgot. Darn it. I don't even know what I'm gonna say. I should have wrote it. That's why I need a notepad. Why don't I have a notepad?
But I'll say we can finish this topic off. And like, yes, it's a goalie podcast, but it's also the parents listening to this probably have multiple athletes, and none of them not all goalies. I tell everybody, Connor McDavid did not leave his home center to go play the GPHL. Just keep interrupting me. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, I will not. Don't worry.
Connor McDavid did not leave his home center to go play in the GTHL until U15. And that's because he stayed at his home center. He made those kids around him better. He didn't get the pamperness, and he is the best player in the world. Probably the best player that's ever lived. And it is what it is. Like, that kid, yeah, he was that good, but if you think his journey was easy, it wasn't easy. He didn't leave to go play the G. All these guys are getting recruited to go play in the G at 9, 10, 11 years old. Stay and play and have adversity. Don't make your super teams, and learn. Learn how to win rather than just showing up and winning, because it's going to serve you long term better. And if you're the goalie parent that is demanding 80% to play, you have to play 80% of the games or you're not going to go to this team. You are very short-sighted. Very short-sighted. Have a goalie partner that will push. You know how many times this year I've heard, "Oh, we're not going there. We want you to sign the backup goalie. We're not going to come there because the goalie you sign's too good. He's going to take games away from my kid." Really? Like, you're in charge of yourself. Like, you worry about yourself. You work, earn your minutes. They can't be given to you. It's not on a platter. And those are the kids that when it gets to those ages, we're going to see the body language of woe is me because they didn't get what they wanted.
I have this little whiteboard thing. I'm going to write down my notes. So thanks for talking about McDavid, because that was the first one. Because I wanted to say, because this brings into a second, I guess, question. So McDavid obviously had exceptional status in major junior. So let's say you have a kid very good at like 11 and 12, like the best, like McDavid level, the best. Obviously, they're probably not going to face a ton of adversity at that level.
But you can find adversity.
Yes, just to say, can you find adversity by getting them to play at an older, like maybe the next step age group? Is that, like, do you think that's beneficial? Because we have in Michigan, you're not allowed to step up in years, which I don't necessarily, like, I get it, but I also don't necessarily agree. Like, if you have a McDavid, like, exceptional status, I guess the problem is if one kid does it, then everyone's going to want to do it. Which is probably why they don't implement it. But is like that to me is like a surface level way of like, okay, you have like a U13 kid who is the best. Okay, can they play U14 with kids that are starting to go through puberty and better to get more of a challenge so they face more adversity? That's probably a decent way to artificially create some adversity, right?
You have to, if you're a parent of that kid, you have to find a way to challenge that kid. And it's not about being the best. If it's like what's becoming more popular in this area, like academies and like prep divisions or whatever. I mean, so like if an OMHA or an OHF rule won't allow your kid to play up 2 years and your kid is absolutely dominating at U13 AAA, I'm sure you can go find a U16 prep league that will take him. And he'll play against older players and he'll play against more physical, stronger players. And that will be a little bit of adversity. You can find those scenarios. It doesn't have to be all the time. If you want to play at your own age group, but find a team that'll let you practice and just skate with them and practice and compete and practice, I'm sure you can find those opportunities. It's on the parent. What?
I was going to say, even in Michigan, we have some very hard and fast rules about allowing young kids to practice with old. Like, you can't just practice with the next age group, because like that's something that I wanted to implement here. It was against the rules. Like I was calling it, I don't even know what I was calling it, just some sort of practice where progressive practice. Where like,
okay, but how many private coaches are in Michigan?
Oh, no. I you can find ways, but I'm saying,
yeah, of course you can.
Organization, but you can't do that within an organization, right? Like I can get goalies on there and get junior A shooters. That'd be challenging.
There's so many private coaching opportunities or academies that run by prison rules that will let you do whatever you want. And if you are an exceptional player, they're going to make their own rules for you. You can find ways to create adversity. But that is
don't have bad body language when you get called up. You face adversity.
right. And that like there's no answer to it because this is individually assessed by each individual kid and family. That how do you find that adversity? So, but there's ways, but you need to introduce adversity to your children early.
And the second thing that I wanted to talk about, I didn't forget because I wrote down, was I'm starting. One of the things is now I talked to you about this, about some of the NCAA stuff, because I'm privy to a lot of this information. But what we're finding, what we're seeing now, a lot on the recruitment side, is because the portal, you can just do whatever you want, is so many kids, part of their recruiting status is, if I'm not the number one guy, I'm not coming to that school. Or if you're bringing in another goalie, I don't want to, I don't want two freshmen together. I'm going to go somewhere else. And I get that, but also at a point, like, comes to a lot of that battle. And I think for me, that's a foreign thing, because my decision to go to Michigan Tech was Phoenix was also going to be a freshman. I want to battle. I want to battle. I lost, but that's the way that I approached it. And I wanted to do whatever I could to take that job. But we're finding a lot of junior kids is like, oh, well, I heard they're bringing in so-and-so and they've committed so-and-so and are both freshmen. So I'm just not going to go.
Well, this is the difference. This was the difference between your mindset. I don't think you stated this clear enough for people, because I know the story, but the 17 people listening don't. Is when you got recruited, Phoenix was going in. So Phoenix Copley, who's playing in the AHL with the LA Kings organizations, played NHL. Like, he'd been in the NHL for almost 100 games, was your goalie partner coming in freshman year. And I remember you calling me, and on the phone, we were talking, and it was, they're bringing in this other freshman. His name's Phoenix Copley. He's pretty good. He's like one of the best goalies. I think it was in the Null at that time. I might be wrong on that, but USHL. And the conversation went to, do you think you can go in there and outplay him? And you're like, yes. I think if I go there, I will outwork him and I will play him. Then it was like, then it commit. And then you did. But that was your mindset. And if more people had that mindset of not being fearful of competition, more people would be able to go into those situations and not be scared. And you're going to create more opportunities by not having fear, right? I can't remember where I heard this. It might have been like Friday Night Lights or something, but you can't be afraid to lose. And like, that stuck with me forever. Like, you miss out on so many opportunities of doing things in your life. And this isn't just sports, but you miss so many opportunities to do things in your life if you're afraid to lose or look bad.
Yeah, it's true. And like, as someone who struggled with mental health while playing, I was towards the end of my career, I was afraid to lose, because I was associating losing with not making money, and then not making money, but be able to support myself, my life, my family. And so it was a very quick downward spiral. But when things were good, I wasn't afraid to lose. I hated to lose. That's right. I still hate losing. I played 17 games of rebound yesterday because we kept losing. And I hate it. I won't lose. So we just played until we finally won a game. But yeah, you're right. It's understanding that you shouldn't be fearful of losing, because this is like the most cliche line, but it's so true. It's like, you are either winning or you are learning. And you can understand that every goal against, every loss, every failed weights or whatever you're doing, it's an opportunity to learn. And if you can look and reassess that and be like, okay, this is what I did wrong. This is the way I need to do better. This is how I'm going to do it better. All right, next time I'm doing it better. Like, that is what we see the champions and the high level athletes are able to do. They're able to compartmentalize their thoughts that way. And that's if we're talking about that part of that package, it's a really important part of that package. And so if you're a younger athlete listening, or you're a parent listening, or your coach listening, when athletes go through some sort of loss, where giving up goals, getting pulled, or make sure that you communicate with them in terms of what did you think, what did you think went wrong? What do you think you can do better to address it? And like, what are the steps that you're going to take to improve it? And that's it. And instead of, we talk about parents, we get a hard time with parents. Instead of like yelling at your kid in the car and being like, you gave up these goals, just ask them open-ended questions and allow them to find those answers for themselves. And make sure, it's the big thing that I've been doing in my coaching, is make sure that they understand an actionable plan that they can do. Like if we're doing I've been doing a lot of flash screens with as part of my like early summer tracking stuff, and it's, you know, a lot of them are struggling. So it's like, okay, what can we do? Well, one, it's like I need to do more flash screens. Okay, perfect. What are you doing like vision wise? We talked about with Dr. Ackerman yesterday, you know, whether it's strobe glasses or, you know, doing some sort of drill where your little brother walks in front of you with a tennis ball, like just finding different ways to train it. And they are coming up with these answers themselves. And when they do that, they're more likely to do it versus us telling them what they need to do. So allow the kids to come up with those solutions on their own.
Yeah, when I say don't be afraid to lose, I'm not talking just about a game or sports. Like you're sitting in your office right now, right? Like this is your physio clinic. Like
Yeah.
you you went out there, started your own clinic with like 15 minutes of experience. Like you didn't go
I'm still in the red.
yeah, you didn't go and work for somebody for 3 or 4 years, right? You just jumped. You did it. You wanted to do it for the last 15 years is all you talked about. This was what your entire pro career was building towards this. And then you got there and there was no hesitation. You just did it. Like there's no fear there. And this is going to be a very successful venture for you because I know you as a person and I know your character and I know your work ethic. And there's no way that it's not going to work because you have that fearlessness. And that's what I want to say more than if like when we say don't be afraid to lose, it's like not one game. And don't be afraid to play on a team that's going to be 500. Don't be afraid to have the best goalie in the league as your goalie partner. Learn from them. Don't be afraid to, when you get called up. Like I had this chat with Weston about 2 weeks ago because he got called up to play with the U11, not play, but back up. But he got called up to play with like the U11 AAA team. And he was like terrified. And I'm like, what are you scared of? I'm like, well, they're older. They're going to shoot harder. And like, what if I have to go in? I'm like, what if you get to go in? Not what if you have to go in. I'm like, what if you get to go in? You're going to learn so much. And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, but they're better than I am. I'm like, exactly. So you're going to get to learn. Watch. And actually, like, back to like tied the brick in, the kid on that U11 Steel team is a kid who played in the brick last year. So the whole message was, okay, this is what I want you. I want you to, when you get there, you're going to follow, the goalie's name is Josh. You're going to follow Josh. You're going to see what Josh does in his pregame routine. You're going to watch him, how he prepares. You're going to see what he does with the balls and all that. You're going to watch how like he's getting focused, and I want you to learn because this is a kid who went to the brick tournament. This is a kid who's a top U11 AAA goalie, a year older than you. And go there and learn. And he was terrified. And then when he came out, he was the happiest kid ever. He's like, oh, I learned 2 new drills from Josh that I'm going to put it in my thing. It was great. He's like bouncing the ball up the floor. He's like, I can't believe how fast he does it. He's like, I'm so slow. I got to get better at it. I'm like, there you go, man.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid.
That's all you want to
Get
hear.
out of your comfort zone, people.
Yeah. Well, that was a good episode. I think we talked about a lot. I'm excited for the next one where we talk about a little bit of sports specialization and specificity. Before we leave, definitely there was some fear opening a clinic, but it was more of it wasn't fear. It was apprehension about the unknown rather than fear itself. And I think that that's where a lot of goalies get misconstrued about. They think that you don't know what's going to happen, and that's okay because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. But don't let that hold you back from whatever it is you're going to do. To everyone listening that watches to the very end, I know I look at the analytics and it is a small percentage of you, but you know what? We appreciate you going this deep into the episode. Comments do help. So if there's anything you want to add, throw in there. Comments help on YouTube. Same with, don't forget to leave us a review, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Boosh, a quick parting shot before I have to take my next patient.
My parting shots are always calling people out. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I just want to, you know what, like my parting shot, proud of my 2015 Tier 1 on ice Bandits last night. Big first win of our spring season ever. First game ever. Big 5-2 win. And man, I love coaching. First time I got to be on a bench in like the last year, and I really love coaching. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. So it was a lot of fun for me.
Good. Glad to hear that. My parting shot, a little late. If you're listening this far, you probably heard the ad read that I've edited into the episode. But we spend a lot of time on our phones. So instead of doom scrolling TikTok, Instagram, whatever, try the EGM Labs at least you get something out of it. You can download it for free on iOS. It's not on Android yet, because if you have an Android, I don't know what to tell you. But if it's on iOS, and you get a free preview, so download it. And you don't have to put a login or anything. Check it out. There's some stuff there, and if you don't like it, you can just delete it off your phone. If you like it, then subscribe for the full thing, and you get like 2,500 hours plus of content. And then I actually today have to add some more content to it. So that's my parting shot / ad read.
And I get there, people. Hang on, just so people don't think we're hypocrites. I've booked my kid into training with Dr. Akerman. It starts next week. So go back, listen to those those podcasts with Milton Sports Vision, Curtis Akerman, because I don't know, I can't remember what the day is, but my kid's off season starts with him the next week, and I'm pretty excited because the changes he made last year in my kid's performance were very, very noticeable, and I can't wait to see where he can get him to grow again for next year.
Absolutely. I've sent 3 goalies, 2 from Michigan, 1 from New York, to go see him. So go see him. He's very good at what he does. And yeah, we'll just end with a bunch of ads. Thanks everyone for listening, watching, whatever it is. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, give us a rating. It does help. It just kind of grows the podcast and gets a little bit more ears and eyeballs on it for us. So thanks everyone. Talk to you next week.